Let's talk about simple interest. When someone borrows money, the lender expects to get back the principal amount. This amount is called capital, and an additional amount, and that's the interest. So, simple interest is the extra amount paid only on capital, on the initial capital amount. For example, Marie obtained a loan of 1,000 from a bank at a 10% monthly interest rate. If she decides to pay back the loan in 2 months, she will return the following amount. And that's going to be like a simple calculation. First month, 1,000 times 10% or 0.10 times 1. That's 100. Second month, 1,000 times 0.10 times 1, and that's 100 again. So the total amount would be 1,000 plus 200. In this case, we're assuming that no capital payments were made after the first month. So that's simple interest. It's only interest gained on the initial amount. Okay? So our formula will be 1,000 times 0.10 times 1 is equal to 100. 1,000 is P, 0.10 is R, 1 is T, and that's equal to I. So the interest rate, remember, the interest rate is always expressed in decimals. That's, for instance, 10 over 100 is equal to 0.10. So this is the formula for simple interest, and it's an easy formula, and sometimes you only have to use your logic to understand what the problem is asking you to do. Next example. Peter got a loan of 6,000 pesos for 1 year. If the annual interest rate is 5%, what is the total amount, including interest, that he will repay? So P is equal to 6,000, that's the initial amount, and R is 5 over 100, and that's 0.05. T is 1 year because the example is referring to 1 year. I is unknown, and the loan is unknown. So the interest is simply 6,000 times 0.5, I'm sorry, 0.05 times 1, and that's 300. Okay, so the total amount would be the initial 6,000 plus interest, that is 300, and the total amount is 6,300. So that's an easy example. Now, assume that this person decides to pay back in 6 months, okay? 6 months, so that's half a year. Now compute the total amount. So P is equal to 6,000, R is 0.05, T is equal to 1 over 2, that's 0.5, half a year, as I said. I is unknown, L is unknown. So I is equal to 6,000 times 0.05 times 0.5, half a year, and that's 150. L would be 6,000 plus 150, that's 6,150. Okay, so instead of paying in 1 year, he decided to pay back in half a year. So that would be half the interest amount. Next, Diane puts 1,000 in a bank account for which she received 118 pesos in 4 months. So we divide the year in 3 periods because 4 times 3 is equal to 12. So what was the annual interest rate? So P is equal to 1,000. R is unknown. The problem is asking for the interest rate. T is equal to 1 over 3 because the year has 3 periods of 4 months. So 4 times 3 is equal to 12. And I is equal to 118. And the problem is asking you to find the interest rate. So if we use the formula, that would be I is equal to P times R times T. So we solve for R. We divide both sides by PT, and so that we solve for R. So we eliminate P and T from the right side, and we get R is equal to I over P times T. So we substitute the numbers. R is equal to 118 over 1000 times 0.333. Okay, because if you divide 1 over 3 is equal to 0.333, and that's 0.3544 or 35.44%. So actually, if you divide 35.44% over 3, you get 11.81%. Okay, so that's the interest rate that was used to get 118. So that was the last example. The simple interest is easy to find. You only have to identify what the problem is asking you to do, and that's it.